Her name is CeCe Telfer, and 6 years ago, Telfer became the first out transgender athlete to win an NCAA title when she took victory in the Division II 400-meter hurdles event. Clearly, a fantastic athlete. But back in March 2023, the World Athletics, the international governing body for track, effectively banned trans women from Telfer's 2024 bid for Paris. And obviously, this is a very controversial topic. And we're very happy to have CeCe Telfer joining us right now on the show. CeCe, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thank you so much for having me, hanging
Yeah,
in there.
appreciate you being here. Yeah, thank you so much. So let me start with a topic that I know we're going to agree on, and that is the attacks on the transgender community,
Uh,
particularly from the Donald Trump administration and those on the far right. Why do you think so many people on the far right are so obsessed with you and with transgender athletes in general?
all right, Ryan, that's a good question. I've been trying to wonder that since all of this has been coming at me since 2019. I don't know what it is. I think they're just really mad about like our existence in society, which it's like if gay people are allowed to exist, lesbians are allowed to exist, why can't trans people allowed to exist, you know?
Mhm. Sure.
So I think we're both wondering the answer to that question, but I truly believe it's just to erase our existence.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And I hear a lot of people from the far right say, well, why are there so many trans people in society now? And my response is, well, because maybe some of these people feel a little bit more comfortable and maybe there are less
Mhm.
bigots. I don't know. But would you agree with that?
I would agree 100%. And like, it's not like trans people haven't always existed. We've always been around, we've always been here. I definitely agree with the point that maybe some trans individuals felt more comfortable in today's society to, complete their transition, to be more public about their transition, to be out and proud about their transition rather
Mm.
than oppressing it, suppressing it, and hiding who they are behind closed doors. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's probably why we have more individuals popping up and coming out as trans.
Mhm. Agree. So, Cece, this is another topic where I think we will agree on, and that is why so many MAGA Republicans out there, including like a Nancy Mace, they seem to be obsessed over this bathroom issue. My take on it is there's no evidence that if you're transgender, you're more likely to commit a crime in a bathroom than somebody who is not
Yeah.
transgender, right? But yet they'll never talk about that. And they seem to be, when I go into a restroom, as you, I'm sure, we go in there, we do our business, and we leave.
And we
I'm not
we'll leave. We're not
right.
trying to look around. But you want to know something, Brian? My experience with the bathroom is completely different. Like women feel actually safer going to the bathroom with me going with them because especially when we're out in public, we're going to parties, we're in large groups. They feel way more comfortable having somebody like me, somebody who is tall, stronger looking. They might insinuate I'm trans or not. They don't care. But I've had women come up to me and even in line telling me I feel so much safer knowing that like you're here. Like I feel so much safer going to the bathroom with you. Like, I'm like, whoa, like, those are not the things that I would expect with the
Right.
rhetoric that I'm getting.
And listen, I say this partially joking, CC, but I also am partially serious. If MAGA Republicans in office like Nancy Mace don't want people like you in a woman's bathroom, I don't know if she's a man. And I'm saying this partially joking and serious. Why should we take her word for it? Like,
That
what
part.
what what if we come down to? Do people have to drop their pants? I mean, like
Yes.
that's not a country that I want to live in, CC.
That is such a good point. Like all these women going inside of the women's bathroom, we don't know what's going on down there. We don't know their business. So that's what all of this anti-trans rhetoric is gonna sum
Mm,
up is policing women's bodies even more. Like you have to look a certain way to be considered a cis or a real woman. It's really sad because women come in all shapes and sizes and all different forms, not just white, petite, and you know what I mean? Like
sure.
we're different, we're diverse, and
Right.
we need to embrace each other and stand in solidarity because we don't all look the same, you know?
Yes, agree, agree, absolutely, 100%. CeCe Telfer joining us right now, first out transgender athlete to win an NCAA title when she took victory in the Division 400-meter hurdles. So, CeCe, what went through your mind when Donald Trump signed this executive order banning transgender athletes from competing on the field with people who are obviously born women? What went through your mind when Donald Trump signed that executive order?
What went through my mind at the time, Brian, when he signed that executive order was that Here we go again. It's just another one. This is nothing new. It's actually quite exhausting getting all of this hate since 2019. But I thought to myself, it's nothing new, and it's not going to stop me from keep continuing to compete as much as I can wherever I can. And it's not going to stop me from existing. It's not going to stop me from becoming a nursing student. It's not going to stop me from becoming the best athlete that I'm going to be. It's not going to stop
Mhm.
me from living my life. So
Right.
signing that executive order was alarming, but it wasn't nothing. It wasn't a surprise. It was alarming in a way that it's just like, okay, you're making it harder, but it wasn't a surprise, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. Not. I mean, listen. We agree on Donald Trump. I'm very. I think the only person that dislikes Donald Trump more than me might be Melania Trump. I don't know, but
I
I'm
agree.
very. I'm very anti-Trump. So we agree on all the social issues, right? When it comes to bathrooms, and I want people like you to live your life and be happy and be who you
Absolutely.
are.
And we're
I've
not going to
always,
feel safer going into the men's bathroom. If
of
anything,
course.
they're going to be mad about it. So it's just
Um,
like, where should we go? Outside? Okay, now we're going to get arrested for public indecency.
Right. We don't want that to happen. But listen, I'm with you on all this. So here's a topic that I wanted to get your perspective on. We might disagree on this respectfully, but I want to get your thoughts on it. So I personally believe, CC, and this is just my personal opinion, that if you're born a man, transition to a woman, you're going to have some advantages over women. And the reason why I say that is because you don't see any people who are born women that are in the NBA, that are in the NHL, that are in Major League Baseball, or any of the men's sports. So tell me where I'm wrong on that and why you disagree, because that's another reason why I wanted to have you on, because I wanted to get your perspective on this. I believe that if you're born a man, transition to a woman, I'm going to be respectful to you. I want you to be happy and be who you are. Use whatever bathroom you want. But I do feel like on the playing field, if you're competing with those who are born as women, you're probably going to have an advantage. I would imagine you disagree with me on that. Talk to me about this.
You know what, Brian? Thank you so much for asking that question. And
Mm.
I feel like a lot of Americans, a lot of people around the world have this belief because they're not directly in tuned with, what it takes to compete as an athlete who's transgender. Nobody wants to do the research or invest the time to know what the requirements are. And I feel like that's what comes into play. Visually, people see tall girls, strong girls, and they automatically think that they have an advantage, right? So to that, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I got
Is
you. Yep.
you're gone for a little bit.
Oh,
I,
sorry about that.
you still there, Brian?
I'm here. Yep, I'm here. We're here. Yep.
I don't know
Can
if you
you?
can hear me, but to answer the
Can.
question, it's no, we do not have an advantage, especially after transitioning, because especially as an athlete, there are rules and regulations that we do have to follow that no other athletes have to adhere to or have to follow. And these rules and regulations are medically necessary for us to even get on that track, get on that course. And the medical implications that our body have to go through hugely, like big time canceled all advantages that was born uh that I have naturally. Like I can't lift naturally, I can't run as fast.
Mhm.
My muscles are deteriorating at a high rate because of the hormones and levels and doses that I have to follow per my
Sure.
organization of World Athletics. So there are a lot of things that we have to do medically in order to even step foot at practice, and you have to show these things, you have to validate, right? Doctors, um, psychologists, all of these people have to confirm your gender before you can even step
Right.
into women's category or women's anything.
Sure.
Like you have
So,
to get
CC,
that medical. Yeah.
CC, I totally understand that. The argument I would hear if somebody would tell you, Leah Thomas, for example, I'm sure you're very familiar with her. As a
Yeah.
man, she was ranked like I think 440th in the country competing with men. Then she identifies as a woman. Okay, no problem. But then she goes from 440th in the country and then wins an NCAA championship. So is it your opinion that the fact that Leah was born a man had nothing to do with the fact that she went from 440th to number one when identifying as a woman? I guess that's my question to you, because I think that there is something to do with that.
Um, Absolutely. I don't think it has anything to do with it because speaking personally from my transition and going into sports,
Mm-hmm.
and not knowing that I could compete as who I was since day one, I
Yeah.
just kind of like broke and I was like, I can't compete in sports not as myself anymore. And
Right.
my coach said to me, girl, you could have competed since day one. I don't know what I wasn't informed. So it's all about education.
Mm-hmm.
And It's all about the mental and physical, right?
Mhm.
Mentally, when Leah was competing as herself, with the guys, she probably didn't feel strong or in tune with herself in order to like execute. And not, let's not forget that as human beings, women and men, we have natural outliers, right? We have natural talents. For example, Michael Phelps, he's strangely tall. He has limbs that are from here to China. They're like women, we do have women that are naturally tall and naturally,
Mhm.
good at sports, naturally, they're just born with natural
Sure,
things that
sure,
makes them good at what they do. So I
sure.
would say that as myself and as Leah, competing as women in our sports, even if we're running with the men or the women. I
Mhm.
know that from my experience with running with men, I didn't feel comfortable. I hated myself. I hated my body. I was
Mhm.
doing it for uh the mental help that it was helping
Sure.
me getting through life every single day. And
Right.
with that being said, like I broke one day and I was like, I cannot keep
Mhm.
running on this team because this is not who I am.
Right. And
I need
CC,
help.
I have empathy. I can't imagine how difficult that must be to be in a body where you feel like you belong the other gender. I can't imagine the hell that must be. And I'm very empathetic to anybody that feels that way. That's got to be. I can't imagine how difficult it is. And I also want to be clear. There are women. I played two sports in college, and there are women that would kick my butt on the golf course, kick my butt in the
Right.
ring, kick my butt. I'm not. There are
But also,
women are.
Brian,
Yeah.
sports is not determined of sex. It's not men and women. Like sports as a whole is defined on how good you are and how talented you are,
I get
regardless
that.
of sexual identity or regardless of sex.
Sure.
You see what I
Totally get
mean?
that. I
So,
do. I
and
do.
as track athletes, we train with boys. Girls don't train with girls. Boys
Right.
don't train. No, we train all together. When you come to the elite level, like we
Right.
don't segregate. The men train with the
Sure.
women, and the women and men are seen
Mhm.
mirrored. Like we're the same. We're just as fast. We're
You know what?
just as strong.
CC, I totally get where you're coming from there, and I don't disagree with you. But I guess this would be my last question on this topic. We've heard WNBA players complaining about pay. We've never had a female basketball player play in the NBA. In my opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, we're not talking about playing against somebody like me. We're talking about professional men, right? The reason is they're not fast enough, they're not strong enough, and in my opinion, they're just not good enough to be in the NBA. I want them to have fun in the WNBA, make money, but I feel the same way about the NHL. We've never had a woman really play in the NHL. We've never had a woman play in Major League Baseball.
I feel
You
like
get
that comes down to like organization and like them not allowing women to to compete where we want to compete. We're only limited to the women category. Being in New England, there was a girl that was on the football team at my college and she was killing it.
right.
So I feel like for you to say that women aren't as fast is not true. It's the right women. And when you get into the extreme sports world, like we don't get
Yeah.
paid as much. So we look at it and we're like, is it worth getting battered, beaten, and bruised to not get paid as much as my male counterparts? You know what I
Right.
mean?
No,
Might as well just
I want women to have that opportunity. Don't get me wrong, but my question is why wouldn't a general manager of an NBA team or a general manager of an NFL team say to themselves, "Hey, this might be a woman, but she could make my team better. I'm going to sign her to a contract."
because of
Like,
money,
what's that?
capitalism. Because of capitalism, for
Mhm.
sure. Women don't bring as much money into sports. So
See,
they're always
I
going to
feel like
center men.
maybe I'm wrong on this, CC, but I feel like if there's a woman out there that can compete at the NBA level, if there's a woman out there that could compete in the NHL, I actually think I'd be one of them. I'd want to see that game. I'd want to see that female compete with the men. That's just me. Like I think that would be great for sports, and I think it would create a lot of enthusiasm and it would break records, right? I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
that's just me. That's just my way of thinking. Like if there's a woman out there right now that could
Yeah.
not only be on a
And
team on
there
yeah.
are. I just
And I
feel
wanna
as though
see that.
that they don't want to be seen as
Yeah.
men. So
Right,
they
right.
don't
But I
want to
wanna see
play
it.
against.
Right. That'd be a great story. I mean,
I
imagine if that
agree.
did happen. I think that would be a great story. And I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong. But I think for the naysayers out there, and I wouldn't really call myself a naysayer. I just don't know if I hope it's possible. I hope I'm wrong and I hope you're right. I don't come from a place of hatred where I don't want people like you competing. I don't want women competing with me. I don't come from that perspective. There's just people out there that have a lot of hatred in their heart. I'm not one of those
Yeah.
people. If you're a woman, okay, and you have the skill set to compete with men in the NFL or
Yes.
the NHL, then I would love to see it. I just don't know if that's the case. And maybe that's where
But
we
you want to know
disagree.
something too, Brian? Like, I feel
Yeah,
like these women do exist, and that's why there are things like Title IX to help
right.
things like this move forward and happen, and for women
Yeah,
to be a part of the NHL and the NBA.
yeah,
But because they have rules to prevent women from being in men's sports, and
yeah.
rules to prevent men from being women's sports, when it gets to the elite
Right.
level, it's all about money. And Title IX was created to, create equal opportunity for women as it is for men to get,
Hmm.
to play sports, to get access to facilities and coaches
Sure.
and money. So I feel like if Title IX was as successful as it is, because they're getting rid of Title IX, and we would see women on NHL teams. We would see them on NBA teams, because at the end of the day, there are women out there that are that good and they can play with the men. They just,
Yeah.
they're getting rid of programs and
I want to see it.
Me Too and policies that don't
Hmm.
want us to thrive and excel. And when
Sure.
you don't stand up for individuals like myself, or those cis women that can actually compete with the NBA and the NHLs, like, you're robbing us of our talent. You're robbing
Yeah.
us of our ability to be great, and you're just limiting us to, women's sports, which we don't have research, we don't have
Yeah.
money, we don't have facilities, right? We still don't
Mhm.
have all of these things. So, and
Right.
if, when you look at the pay that is equal to a level 10 female athlete and a level 10 male athlete who runs the same, who have the same credentials, they don't get paid the same. And that's when we have to live, right? We
Mhm.
have to live. And when we don't get the same payment for the same level of sport, we we have to stay in our categories. You know what I mean? We have to stay in our lanes.
Mhm.
Because if we fight, we lose the money, we lose. And
Sure. I mean, it is interesting, right? Because I grew up a huge tennis fan, and women's tennis players,
oh,
CC, get paid almost as much as the men. In my opinion, why that is because the rallies are so long. The men
yeah.
serve a tennis ball 130, 140 miles an hour at times, and the women don't serve the ball as hard, but that actually makes for more entertaining points. So I think a part of it is, what are people willing to pay? To watch. We know how much money the NBA makes. The WNBA has struggled. I think they've lost money every year for the last 30 years. I would love for that to change. I would love for the women in the WNBA to make more money, but how
Yes.
much people are willing to pay.
And more
Like,
visibility, please.
sure,
We need
sure,
more
that's
visibility. We know people going to these
sure.
women's sports. Like, when I look at men's games versus women games, like, the stadium is not even half as packed.
It's not. You're
So
right. You're right. I again, we both come from a place where we want
yeah,
women to succeed. We want them to be out there to the public and promote, promote, promote. I'm all for that. I cover the WNBA Aces here in Las Vegas. I have a lot of fun going to those games. There's no doubt. If there are any women out there that are capable of playing in the NBA, I think it'd be a great story. But going back to what
agree.
we agreed on earlier, CC, a couple more questions, and then we'll let you go. We appreciate your time. Um, I just feel like the bigotry and the hatred to the trans community, to the LGBTQ community, to minorities in this country, I feel like there's more hate out there now than there was maybe 10 years ago. And maybe all those people were out there, but they weren't as public about their bigotry as they are now. So I think a lot of that has to do with the far right and Donald Trump. I wanted you to speak to that. If you have the opportunity to speak to Donald Trump right now, CC, I'm curious privately, what would you say to him?
Um, Honestly, if I had that opportunity to speak to the current president-elect, especially privately, I would ask him, why is he so fixated on hating us and eradicating us? What have we done that was so bad to society that makes him want to take away our rights, eradicate us from sports, take away our medical access and legal access. And why not focus on more important objects, more important things, like our kids not being able to go to school because they're scared that their peers are going to kill them? Like, I
Mm,
think that we should worry about things like that. And I would ask him, like, why do women not have more access to our bodies? Why do women not have more money, equal pay? Why are more women not at the head of his appointees? You know what I mean? Why do
yes,
women not have more access to the things that we need?
right.
Um, because it's just not making sense. Do you hate women that much that you don't want us to thrive or succeed in society? Like, you have kids, don't they have mothers? You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Sure,
So I would like to like have those answers. I would like to know for a fact, like, do you truly love women? Do you
well, I don't
think
think he
that
does. I don't think he does. I think if you look at his history and how he's treated women his entire life, I think clearly the answer is no. But I think those are very good questions to ask him. Unfortunately, there are a lot of members of the media that won't do that. I guess my next
Mm.
question for you, and my last one, CC, would be what's next for you? I mean, I know how badly you want to be in the Olympic
Oh
Games.
my God.
Yeah, I know that. I know how badly you want to compete on that stage. So what's next for you? It appears like, they're doing everything they can to try to not allow somebody like you to compete with women in the Olympics. So what's next for you? What are the next steps for you?
Honestly, Brian, right now, the next steps is like Kiki Palmer says, if you're not gonna see me, you're not gonna collab with me, I'm gonna link up somewhere else. Meaning, if you're not gonna see me and my visibility in sports, I'm gonna keep going, but I'm also gonna do other things that I'm good at, whether it be, finishing my nursing career or, getting into the studio, putting out something, because I'm very talented that way.
Mhm,
Hitting up the dancing community. I'm a Jackie of all trades. I can do it all. So while I'm still gonna continue with my track and my athletic capabilities until I can't anymore, I'm pursuing 2028 with a vengeance. I'm very, very hungry, so track is always going to be at the forefront of my sight. But I'm not going to neglect my other talents for sure. I'm not
sure,
going to, because the bills have to be paid, Brian. And right
mhm,
now, I don't have any scholarships or any endorsements for my athleticism. It's purely off of my love and my talent, and just
mhm,
like visibility is very important, and I have to keep showing up. And right now, the best way that I can show up and cause an impact is in the sporting world. But don't think for one second that I'm neglecting my degree that I got. I have a psychology and biology degree. I'm going to put that to the test. I'm a dancer, I'm a singer, I'm an actress, I'm all of the above, I'm a
mhm.
model. So I'm gonna be doing all the things, and you're gonna be seeing me in all the areas and in everywhere that a woman belongs, because that's who I am. And I it's been time. It's been time long overdue for me to shine, and we're not gonna inhibit that anymore. We're gonna keep fighting the good fight for
Mhm.
sure, and I'm gonna keep empowering other trans athletes, trans people, kids to
Yep.
go for their dreams and not to stop doing that, and to advocate and to educate
Mhm.
always, and to just be the best. And the one thing that we can do right now is exist, because they want us to not exist, and we have
Yeah.
to keep doing that. The most powerful thing we can do is to refuse.
Absolutely. Well, CeCe, you're a strong voice for the trans community. There's no question about
Thank
that.
you, Brian.
And there's a lot of people out there that maybe don't have the platform that you have. So I think you speak for them.
Yes.
And I think for the most part, we agree on almost everything. And I want you to be
Yes.
happy and live your life. The most important thing, whether you're in the Olympics or not, is you're able to still enjoy life, be who you are. Don't be a target of people. You shouldn't have to deal with bullying or harassment or just,
Absolutely.
so that I think that starts with number one, right? And so I appreciate what you do. I appreciate your voice, and you're welcome to come back in this show anytime. If you have any updates on the possibility of you being in the Olympics, please let us know. And if there's anything we can do for you,
Absolutely.
please. Thank you, CeCe, for your time. We really do appreciate you, and I think it's an
Thank you,
important
Brian.
conversation. Thank you so much. Take care, CeCe.
Absolutely. Thank you for having this important conversation and for having me, because, platforms like yours is what helps to create the change and the voice. And I
Sure,
really, really appreciate you for having me. And
absolutely.
definitely, sure, well, looking to have a part two. And I have a coach, and like 2028 is a little bit more
Yep.
possible. So the
Sure.
conversation too.
Absolutely. Well, CeCe
Thank
Telfer,
you.
thank you. Good to see you. Thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate you. That's CeCe Telfer, everybody. Great athlete.